Well, good morning, everyone. I want to introduce you to the Kenyan team this year. We started planning in March and went for 3 weeks in July. We are not just a Kenyan team, we were God's team, serving over in Kenya, the people there. To my left is Becky. Oh, I'm Lynn Granz. I have been to Kenya 8 times, but Becky and Judy, this was their first time, so I want to leave a lot of time for them to give testimony to what happened when we were in Kenya. This is Becky, and this is Judy. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for your prayers. They were so meaningful, and your financial support. We were able to raise $14,000. It was amazing how God worked, and we just knew from day one that He was going to do something special while we were over there. So, hopefully in the future, this coming year, we'll be bringing to you some special Kenya projects. As you can imagine, there are many needs there. And at the end of our little talk today, I want to spend a little time in prayer for the people in Kenya. So I'm going to give a quick overview now of what we did. We were boots on the ground for about 2 weeks, as the third week was spent getting there, getting back, and we were able to visit missionaries in Nairobi and see their wonderful work that was going on there. So I'm going to begin with my slides, and if we could put up the first slide. We spent the first week, 4 days, visiting 13 families of HIV families, going into their huts, assessing their needs. Let me tell you, it was not always a sweet thing. And in certain homes, we could tell the Lord was not present there. So we prayed with these people. We wrote down what some of their needs were, and we were able to provide even some families before we left with a mattress because they were sleeping on the floor, on the ground, and clothes. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later. Next slide. Dress a Girl. We brought a lot of dresses with us, and it was amazing. Thank you, Shar, and all those who have participated in Dress a Girl. The family on the left there was one extended family, and look how cute they are in those dresses. Also, the gal on the right, Mama Fatuma, she just wanted to pose there, and she was excited with her dress. But there is a story with the middle child, the middle picture there. We were driving along, and tell me, was it Judy or Becky who said, "Stop the car"? It was Judy. There was this little girl and this boy walking alone on the road, and we said, "We've got to give her a dress." So can you imagine? We stopped the car, got out, put the dress on her, and left. Now, what do you think her mom or whoever thought when she came home with this new dress? But it was so exciting, you know, and she was so glad to have that dress. And I just want to really thank you from my heart for the Dress a Girl. And I wish we could have brought a lot more. But next time, we did give the Dress a Girls to the HIV families. And so that was amazing. Next slide. Kapenda for the children. You know, if you followed my story, I've been involved with them from my beginning, very first trips. They outreach to special needs children in Kenya, and there's quite a stigma there for special needs. So they have a boarding school there. They have actually 4 schools right in the area. We were able to visit one, and the older kids were away on games that day with other schools, but there were a few still there, so we got to see their smiles and check out the new resource center that Kapenda has there. So that was fun. Next picture. Sunday school. Oh boy, talk about children. 7,500 kids. Well, Becky and I took them on, and it went so well. They loved to sing. They sang songs for us. We sang songs with them. We did a Bible story, did a craft. And also, Judy went and taught all the adults for 3 Sundays inside. So we thank her for that, too. It's amazing how God used each of our gifts to serve Him in special ways while we were on this trip. Next slide. Babies. Remember we collected items for some babies over there? Some of you signed up to participate in that. The first family on the left had a baby named Marvelous, and she's 4 months old, and you can see we visited them, and I received a rooster upon leaving. So they do think in Kenya you can bring chickens and roosters on planes. They allow you to do that in Kenya, but I don't think we were going to try to bring that rooster home. We left it with our friends. And to the right, this is kind of my adopted daughter, Grace, and her new baby of 2 months, Reuben. And so we enjoyed visiting them and giving them the things, the precious things that you donated for the babies. Next slide. I have 2 sponsored children in Kenya, which I was able to visit. Jibu's on the left. He's just finished secondary school. He doesn't have any lower legs. And Saeed on the right, he has cerebral palsy and HIV. He's actually just transferred out of the program, but he lives nearby, so I was able to go see him and spend a little time with them. Next slide. Food distribution. We fed over 360 families with that money. We had 15, in the HIV program, there's 15 families. We were able to feed all of them. We had 3 large church families that we fed, and the family on the right, the church on the right is a sister family. We did 57 packages of food on that one visit there. And on the left, we did more individual families of the main church family during the week, as we couldn't bring them all together in one time. We also gave food to some individuals. Next slide. Celebration Day. Well, we were surprised to know that the 2 churches provided it was a day of celebration all day. Speeches, choirs, dancing. We received dresses, skirts, scarves, shoes that were handmade. And if you look to the right, the left, I'm looking back here. What are they wearing? The 2 pastors received York Street Baptist Church T-shirts. So that was kind of fun, giving them a little piece of us as they gave us a big piece of them. Next slide. Well, this is my Kenyan family that I've known from the first time I went to Kenya. Thomas on the right is my Kenyan son and his wife. He has 7 children. And the little girl there, her name is Lynn. She's my namesake. And I got to spend a little time with her, so that was very precious. They also have my Daniel there, named after my husband. So I love visiting with them. And Thomas works for Kupenda, and that's how I first met him and the organization for the special needs children. All right, well, we're going to move on now and hear from Becky, and you're up.
Okay, so if you could go on with the slide. So worship. In the churches, we went to Calvary Baptist Church and the sister church, Angels Bay. And this is at Calvary Baptist Church. Let me tell you, it is bare bones. And at Angel Bay Church, they have a dirt floor, no thrills, but these people can worship. And I had never experienced myself worshiping like that. I was dancing, I was clapping, praising the Lord. It was amazing. And these people have nothing, but they just give it their all. And I just felt the love and the Holy Spirit, and it was wonderful. Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah. Next slide, please. Sunday school, as Lynn mentioned, we taught at both the churches, Calvary Baptist and Angels Bay, and we had probably 75 to 100 kids that we taught, and it was such an honor. The kids were just wonderful. They just ate it up, us being there and us spending time with them. And we had 2 lessons that we taught for 3 weeks. And we did a craft with them, and it was wonderful. It was amazing. Yep. Next slide, please. Church celebration. So as Lynn mentioned, we had these dresses made for us. The reason why I'm talking about this is we were just loved on, and I had never experienced anything like that in my life. We made relationships. They became, like, some of them my family. It was just wonderful. I mean, I'm called Mama Becky, Judy's Mama Judy, Mama Lynn. It was just amazing. And we were loved on, we were celebrated. They danced for us. We had lunch. It was just amazing. The presence of God was there, and it was wonderful. Next slide, please. Family visitation. So for a week, we went out with different pastors of the two churches. And on this day, I went with Thomas. He's a pastor of Calvary Baptist Church. And we visited this one family who they were saved. But this was a God moment because the little boy in front, Dennis, he just happened to be there visiting with his mother. He was a neighbor next door. And Thomas, who works for Capenza, got connected to Dennis. So he got Dennis's information, and hopefully, I have to follow up with Thomas to see if Dennis was able to get with Capenza. And Capenza works with disabled children. So just to see that whole thing, how God worked that all out, you know, right place, right time, that was wonderful to see. So, okay. Next slide, please. Yeah, the video. So that's worship. And the women invited us to dance with them in church and also at the celebration day. And it was just a lot of fun and wonderful. So, thank you. Okay. Judy?
Thank you, Becky. Hi, everybody. I'm Judy Fournier, and I'm so pleased to be back to tell you about what God did through all of us in Kenya. First slide, please. As Lynn and Becky have talked a little bit about already, we fed over 360 families. Now, each family got one of those bundles. You can see the white boxy thing is a 50-pound bag of ugali flour, which is corn maize flour, which they make ugali, which is boiled. It's sort of a polenta-like substance. It's kind of sticky, and they eat with their hands, and so they use that to help scoop up other food and to supplement their diet. There was rice. Many families got 25 pounds of rice, and I believe these families got 12 and a half pounds of beans as well. So you can see on the bottom to the right, that is a large produce truck. Imagine a Golden Harvest truck. And that was filled to the roof with the corn maize. the rice and the bags of beans. And what they did, the men had a bucket brigade, and they shuttled it, they tossed them to each other, and they put it in the church. And I think you saw a picture a little earlier. Now, on the top right is one of the favorite kids I met. I hate to say, but yes, I had a favorite, other than you, Tim. The older guy on the right in the white shirt, his name is Baraka, and he has HIV transmitted from his mom at birth. And that's Mama Deb and a little brother. And we were invited into their home. It was the first HIV family we visited. And you can see their food. They have the same food that the families got with the addition of some oil. So just to let you know, those of you who donated some money towards this cause, again, Lynn said we raised $14,000. So each one of the church family food cost, it's $32.75. So for all essential purposes, $33 per bundle. So you can figure what you gave and calculate how many families you fed for that amount of money. I imagine when you go to Market Basket, Hannaford, wherever you go, you don't only spend $32.75, right, to feed your family. Many people have asked me, well, how long will that feed them? They have large families. So to be honest, we don't know. It depends how they want to distribute it amongst themselves. And most people don't eat much. They may have a little bit of corn and beans, corn that they're growing. So this will definitely supplement them, especially during a time when their crops were failing due to lack of rain. Next slide, please. This is a family that is near and dear to my heart. We had 3 days that we split up, and we went with men from the church, Kenyan men from the church. And I'll say the first day I was a little nervous being separated from my Mzungu, which means white sisters, and crossing into territory. I felt like a ping on the globe, and I remember thinking of Psalm 143, where David's saying, "Where can I go to hide from your presence?" And he talks about the depths of the ocean and the heights of heaven. And I just thanked God that I couldn't hide if I tried. Because I know I felt like I was nowhere in the world. So this was at the end of 3 days of evangelism. I'm not sure, Becky and Lynn probably visited a similar number of families. I visited 10 families over 3 days. And our purpose from the pastor was those who went to the church, some of the whole families were already saved people. Other families had church members, but also many members who did not yet know Jesus. And so the pastors had told us that we would be listened to with some extra fervency because we were from away. And it's pretty obvious that we're from away. So after, on our third day, I had visited a family where everybody were church members. And I said to Pastor Joe, who is actually taking the picture, so he's not in there. I said, is there a family who has never heard about Jesus around here that you know about? And he looked around, and way up a hill, he said, up there. I don't think they've ever heard. I said, can we go? And he said, let's go. So I was with 4 men. You see the man in purple on the left picture. He's Julius. He's an assistant pastor. and 2 other guys were with me, and we started walking up a little foot trail. You kind of had to do 1 foot in front of the other through the fields, and eventually we made it up there despite a rather large snake in the path, and made it up there, and it was quite an interesting time because these people truly had never heard about Jesus. And so we did our introductions, which is very important in Kenya especially. And then Pastor Joe looks at me and says, "It's time for you to do the evangelism now." And he had said that every time over the 3 days, kind of like, wind Judy up and let her go. So I said, okay. So I spoke with the family, and I started out by asking, do you celebrate Christmas? And that got us talking together. And so over time, I described why Jesus came. I asked, we celebrate Christmas, but have you ever thought why? And they looked at me with wide eyes like, how could we never have thought why? But they never had. And so I explained why he came and why he died, and that he rose again, and that his resurrection, his death on the cross and shedding his blood and rising again to heaven, not as a victim, but as a willing sacrifice, how that showed that he conquered sin and death for all of us. And they listened. Now, I don't know about you, but people here don't tend to listen. These people some of them were sitting on the ground. Some of them were sitting on their little their yellow plastic things that they carry their water on. They had given us a nice plastic chair to sit on. And the kid in the red with the dreadlocks, he was the one I thought, he's going to be the rebel. And he was kind of sitting at my feet. And Joseph, I said, okay, Joseph, I'm done. And I knew that he'd have to be translating. So he ended up asking, does anybody want to accept Jesus? And the first person, that young man looked up at me with the biggest, most genuine smile. I'll never forget it. Raised his hand and said, yes. And so it was so exciting. And then the father and the younger brother also wanted to. Now, the woman standing next to me in the picture, next to the guy in white, her head is actually shaved. She had somebody come in the night, shave her head, and put a curse on her. And she had been to the witch doctor to get the curse removed. And so they are still very tribal there, and they still have a lot of beliefs in occult practices. Now, she wanted no part of this Jesus salvation at first. She kind of walked away and was muttering, and so I'm silently praying for her. And then when it came time to say the sinner's prayer, she still was, I thought, okay, she's not ready, Lord, in your time. And I'm praying for her silently. And all of a sudden, she said, wait, and she came over. She said, I changed my mind. So these are the 4 with me that accepted Jesus that day on that last. And to have been there, God, I've said this sort of as a joke, but I mean it. God could have sent my dog Piper, my golden retriever, there to speak. He chose me. Why? Or Tim. Yeah, Tim's raising his hand. Maybe you'll go next time, Tim. But he made donkeys talk in the Bible. He could have used a cornstalk. He could have used anybody. Why he chose me, I don't know. I obeyed. Becky obeyed. Lynn has obeyed. And that God is the one, only one, who can change hearts. And so we were just flesh and blood, hands, feet, and a mouth. for Jesus. It says we're his ambassadors. And so I just want to tell you also, not quite sure how to say this, I felt extremely weak as a person. I knew that I was pretty tired by the end of the day. It's hot, I'm sweaty, it's humid. I happened to have mosquito bites all over me that I had allergic reactions to the whole time I was there. So I'm not feeling too strong in myself. So I did not go in confidence. And when Joseph would look at me and say, "It's time to evangelize now," I'd sort of look up and silently say, "Here we go, Lord," and you do it. And he did. And you know, despite my weakness, or maybe not even despite it, but because of it, they might have seen a very different picture than had I been extremely confident. I was very confident in my message, but I was not confident in myself. And so, last slide, please. The Lord said to the Apostle Paul, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." And I'm a New Englander through and through. I grew up with an ironworker father. I don't like weakness. But I'm telling you, God used my weakness. I know he did. And I want to just encourage you. I know he will use all of ours because it's up to him. I want to say that between all our family visits, the three of us, 21 people accepted Jesus as their Savior. And so, you know, the harvest is ready. In New England, we don't see that much of the harvest. These people wanted to hear, and they believed. And so we're going to ask you for prayer for follow-up for them as well, because you know that's only the first step. So I want to thank you and encourage you to have a heart for people where God places you, no matter what you feel like or what's going on in your life, because it doesn't matter. God sprinkles, we're all like seasoning, and he flavors this world with us. And so he uses each of us as he wills. Thank you.
This was another gift. It's so beautiful. I just wanted to share that with you. I want to thank you for all your support and hope you will support future projects that we bring to you. As you know, there are many health needs over there. There are many people without food. And we heard this weekend that the sister church, the Muslims, there's a great Muslim influence in that area. And the Muslims want to build a church right across from the Baptist church there. And so there was supposed to be a vote today about that. And the Muslims give a lot of gifts for people to come and join them in their they're out, I guess they call it an outreach, but in their services. And they're very attractive to people. But we know God is bigger than that. So we want to pray, and I'd like a few of you to pray out loud right now just for the health needs of people there, for those, there would be a follow-up for those 21 people who came to the Lord. And please pray for that Muslim church, that Satan would not get into that area right across from the church. So would a couple of you pray, and I'll close.
Lord, you're going to build your church, and the gates of hell aren't going to prevail.
Amen.
Heavenly Father, you use the weakness of your service to show your strength. Help the people there who have accepted your Son. Help them to grow in you, not thinking that they need to be strong or powerful or rich, but that you will provide everything for them. Help them to show your face to their families, to their friends, to their neighbors, to the people in their church who even don't yet know you. And help this word to go out. It starts with these 21, Lord, and it keeps growing and building. Help this work that's been done faithfully to grow so that people would know you and come to you and accept you as the only God.
Lord, you know the many needs that are in Kenya right now, and I just pray that you will hear our prayers this morning, and we give you all the glory for what you are doing around the world and for your kingdom. May we never stop talking to others about you and what you mean to each person, how you, as we heard last week in the sermon, how you love all people. So thank you for this time together now, and we give praise to you. Amen.